think that the human the human exchange is always going to be, I think, uh, champion because of the nature of the work. This is all about um, people to people, right? It's more personable. It's about being able to talk people down from like de-escalations, being able to talk people away from it's more like it's more counseling and mentoring, so to speak. That's something I don't see where technology can really replace that person to person relation building. This is about how folks can relatability to to the issue of having gone through certain things that make people want to resort to violence. We do a lot of community mapping, right? So back to Anthony's piece around based on the data and the com stats that we get from NYPD sharing, it helps us look at where the violence is taking place, where outside of where it's not, and being able to look at those resources that can be used to go into those areas. Um, that's been extremely helpful, us having the ability to know as soon as possible when shootings are taking place, and especially like in the hospital setting, we normally are made aware through our social work department when there is an incoming GSW and which precinct they're coming from. That gives us an ability to deploy a hospital responder and violence interrupters at the same time to not only deal with the incoming patient at the hospital, but to deal with the prevention, retaliatory prevention aspect of the work that's happening where the shooting actually did occur. So, having that information in advance helps us, or have it as close to the time that these things are happening, helps us be able to deploy our folks and to do its part. I think the best practice is when there's again certain people from community, like people that are trusted members of the community, messengers, incredible messengers, as I mentioned, like myself, who play like key roles in each of the organizations, sort of structure, um, are able to build those relationships, right? Where it does not tarnish like the credibility. It actually increases it because we have high level sort of access to members of law enforcement, and it's understood by them that there is only but so much that can be exchanged, right? And that can be shared about one particular incident, right? So I like to pride ourselves on us being valuable, not just for, the close, not for any one individual case, but pretty much as it relates back to the data, to the entire metric system of how we reduce the violence. Everybody's job is not to have that exchange with law enforcement on the team because it's just optics. It just doesn't look right. Law enforcement branch, now to date, I would like to pride ourselves in saying they get it. They get it now versus 5 years ago, even. They still did not understand, like, why wouldn't these guys, why aren't they sharing information with us? Why aren't they, telling us what's happening? Now they see how these two parallel sort of forces can work alongside of each other. And less activity is best, right? The less amount of shots even fired. data is saying something in the story as it relates to the traumatization that communities are suffering from
Yeah.
just the hearing the sound of gunshots,
Hmm.
right? It is traumatic. A lot of the families in the communities that we work within, they would liken their neighborhoods to war zones. The less they hear about it being a shooting or someone being shot or killed, the better it is for the mental health of the community. Our way of being able to prove that point was literally counting the days of peace, I call it, right? The days of peace and harmony. That's important for people to know. There's a need for a social forecast
Yeah, I like
on
that.
yeah, okay, Jack. Just based on social forecasts, like before you leave out, of your house and your neighborhood, you just remember that we are under, 200 days of no one being shot.
Right.
That's helpful, because parents, most of which have to leave and they got to leave their kids to go to school by themselves. You can imagine that, that fear that most people are at work. That's why they tell them, like, call me when you get to the store. Call me when you get to work. It's just literally, we're talking, it's like, it's really that traumatic to them. And so when they're getting off the train and they're on their way back into home, it's good for them to get maybe an alert or something that says, hey, it's pretty safe. Things still are calm.